Stop scrolling for just a moment because this message is about someone who made a choice and is now being forced to live with the weight of it. They thought choosing someone else would make everything easier, cleaner, less complicated. Instead, it created a mess that hurt you deeply, and now that regret is sitting so heavy on their heart. If this title pulled you in, it's because this energy is active around you right now, and the universe is asking you to see it clearly. Welcome back to Twin Soul Collective Guidance. I'm Blue, and today we're reading the emotions behind the silence and uncovering the truth that's been hiding in plain sight. Before we begin, I want you to remember something important. Only take what resonates with you and leave the rest. This reading may not be for everyone, but for those it's meant for. Oh my goodness, it's going to hit so close to home. There's a powerful feeling coming through here, and it's the energy of I chose wrong, even if they've never said those words out loud to you or maybe even to themselves. The cards surrounding this message are speaking volumes about a painful decision, the emotional aftermath, and a moment of awakening that they simply cannot escape anymore. Okay, so someone believed with everything in them that they were making the right choice at the time. They convinced themselves of it, they justified it, they moved forward with it. But now, wow, they are looking back and seeing all the damage that was left behind, especially the impossible position they put you in. What they tried so hard to avoid back then is now standing right in front of them, demanding to be faced. There is such a deep sense of regret here, and it's only growing stronger with each passing day. They replay moments over and over in their mind, wondering how things could have turned out differently if they had just chosen with their heart instead of with fear, pressure, or temporary temptation. The connection with you still lingers in their energy, unfinished and unresolved, while the choice they made feels heavier and heavier every single day. Stay with me because as we move deeper into this reading, we're going to uncover what they truly feel right now, what they're realizing far too late, and how this messy situation is actually shifting in your favor in ways you might not even see yet. Something is about to be revealed, and oh my goodness, it may completely change the way you see this entire story. Okay, so let me pull the cards and see what Spirit wants to show us about this situation. The first card that comes through is the Lovers. And wow, this card alone tells us so much about what actually happened here. When the Lovers appears in this context, it's showing us that this was never a small or casual decision. This was a heart-level choice, a soul-level crossroads, and that is exactly why the regret they're feeling now cuts so deep. They were standing at a moment where love, values, and truth mattered more than logic or convenience, and they had to choose. But here's the thing, they didn't just choose a person, they chose a path, and at the time they convinced themselves they were doing the right thing, even though their heart was pulling them in a completely different direction. The Lovers reveals that the connection they had with you was real, meaningful, and emotionally intense. This wasn't something they could easily replace or forget about. You represented honesty, depth, and a kind of love that asked them to be fully present and fully accountable. And oh my goodness, that scared them. Choosing someone else felt easier in the moment, less confronting, less risky, less demanding of their emotional maturity. But what they didn't understand then, what they're only now beginning to see, is that avoiding a true connection creates a much bigger mess later, and that mess is exactly what they're sitting in right now, feeling it, breathing it, unable to escape it. This card speaks of inner conflict that was happening inside them even as they made that choice. Part of them followed desire, comfort, pressure from outside influences, maybe even fear of what being with you would require of them, while another part of them, the deeper part, knew they were betraying their own heart. The Lovers shows that they didn't lose you because love was missing, they lost you because they couldn't choose love bravely, they couldn't stand in their truth. And now that truth is impossible for them to ignore. They replay conversations, moments, feelings, realizing that what they had with you was rare. It was something they may never find again. There's also this quiet guilt that the Lovers brings forward. Not the loud, dramatic kind of guilt, but the kind that creeps in late at night when all the distractions fade away and they're alone with their thoughts. They know the situation they put you in was unfair. They know their choice caused confusion, pain, and emotional chaos for you. And even if they never apologized, even if they've never said the words out loud, their soul feels it. This card shows that regret grows strongest when someone realizes they hurt the one person who genuinely cared for them, the one person who saw them clearly and loved them anyway. Okay, the next card that comes through is the Five of Cups, and wow, this one hits differently. This card comes forward with such heavy emotional energy, showing us the aftermath of their choice and the deep regret that followed. The Five of Cups speaks about loss that cannot be undone easily, about realizing too late what truly mattered. For this situation, it shows someone standing in the emotional wreckage of their own decisions, finally seeing the pain they caused and the opportunity they let slip through their hands. Oh my goodness, this card reveals that they are focused on what went wrong. Their mind keeps returning to the moment they chose someone else, replaying it again and again, wishing they could go back and change the outcome. The Five of Cups shows sorrow mixed with self-blame. They're not just sad about losing you, they're disappointed in themselves for creating a messy situation that hurt someone who did not deserve it. The weight of that realization is pressing down on them now, heavier with each passing day. There's this strong sense of emotional emptiness here that I'm picking up on. What they thought would fulfill them, what they thought would make them happy, did not. Instead of joy, instead of peace, they're left with silence, dissatisfaction, and the constant reminder of what they gave up. This card shows that the connection they chose, the person they chose, does not bring the emotional depth they expected or needed. The laughter feels forced, the closeness feels shallow, and in those quiet moments when they're alone with their thoughts, everything drifts back to you. The Five of Cups also speaks about shame, and this is important. They know they handled things poorly. They know they created confusion and emotional chaos, and that awareness hurts more than they ever imagined it would. This is not just regret about a relationship ending or about things not working out. It's regret about how they acted, how they avoided honesty, how they chose comfort over truth, how they chose what was easy over what was real. They now see how unfair that was to you, how much pain they caused, and they can't unsee it. This card shows someone who is emotionally stuck in the past, unable to move forward fully, because part of their heart is still tied to what they lost, still tied to you. They struggle to be present in their current situation because they remember the support you gave, the understanding, the way you stood by them even when things were complicated. Now, without that emotional safety, without that genuine connection, they feel exposed and alone. The Five of Cups shows that losing you created a void that nothing else seems to fill, no matter how hard they try to convince themselves otherwise, and wow, that realization is eating away at them. But here's what's beautiful about this card for you. While they are drowning in regret, while they're focused on what they lost, there is still more ahead for you. Even if you can't see it yet, even if you're still healing from what happened, there are emotional opportunities waiting beyond this situation. The Five of Cups whispers that you are not meant to stay stuck in regret, especially someone else's regret. Healing begins when you release responsibility for choices that were never yours to make. Now, the third card coming through is Judgment, and oh my goodness, this is the turning point. Judgment arrives as the moment they can no longer run from the truth. This card speaks of awakening, of reckoning, of a deep inner call that cannot be ignored anymore. For this topic, Judgment shows that the phase of quiet regret has reached a critical point. What was once private guilt and hidden sorrow is now becoming a loud realization that they can't silence. They are being forced to look at their choices, their actions, and the messy situation they created with complete honesty, and wow, there's no escaping it this time. This card reveals that something has shifted inside them on a fundamental level, a truth they tried to suppress, a truth they tried to bury under excuses and distractions is rising to the surface now, demanding to be acknowledged. Judgment shows that they are reviewing the past very carefully, not just through emotion alone, but through clarity and awareness. They see where they failed you. They see how choosing someone else was not just a mistake in love, but a failure to stand in integrity, a failure to honor what was real, and this awareness is changing them from the inside out. Judgment carries the energy of accountability, and this is so powerful. They can no longer blame circumstances, timing, or other people for what happened. The card shows that they understand now, truly understand. They made a choice, and that choice had consequences. The pain you experienced, the confusion, the emotional chaos, all of it is finally being recognized by them. This is not about punishment or karma in a vengeful sense. It's about truth, and truth has a way of shaking someone awake when they've been living in denial or avoidance for too long. This card also speaks of a strong urge to make things right, to find redemption somehow. Judgment shows a desire for confession, for clearing the emotional debt that has been left hanging in the air between you. They may feel called to speak up, to reach out, to explain themselves, or to admit what they did wrong, even if they haven't acted on it yet. The inner pressure to face you, or at least face the truth, is building inside them. Silence no longer feels safe to them. It feels suffocating, but at the same time, judgment is not just about them and their awakening, it's about you too. This card shows that you are being released from the emotional weight of this situation. You are stepping into a phase of clarity where you see the truth without illusion, without blame, without questioning yourself. You understand now that what happened was not a reflection of your worth, but a reflection of their inner conflict and fear. Okay, the fourth card that Spirit wants me to show you is the Two of Swords, and this card reveals something so important about where they were mentally and emotionally when all of this happened. The Two of Swords represents avoidance, indecision, and an inability to face the truth. Oh my goodness, this card shows that they were stuck, paralyzed, even unable to make a clear choice from a place of honesty. They knew deep down what the right decision was, they felt it, but they couldn't bring themselves to act on it. Instead, they chose to stay in denial, to keep both options open in their mind, to avoid confrontation and difficult conversations. This card tells us that the messy situation you were placed in didn't happen by accident. It happened because they refused to be clear, refused to be honest, refused to make a clean decision. The Two of Swords shows someone who is blindfolded, blocking out emotional truth, trying to maintain balance by not choosing at all or by choosing in a way that allowed them to avoid full responsibility. And wow, that avoidance is exactly what created the chaos. You deserved clarity, you deserved honesty, and instead you got confusion and mixed signals because they couldn't face themselves. What's coming through so strongly with this card is that they were afraid, afraid of being vulnerable, afraid of what choosing you would mean for their life, afraid of the changes they would have to make, afraid of standing in their truth publicly or in front of others. So they took the path of least resistance, the path that let them hide, and they convinced themselves it was the right thing to do. But the Two of Swords also shows that you can't avoid truth forever. Eventually, the blindfold has to come off. Eventually, reality demands to be seen. And that's exactly what's happening now with the Judgment card. They're being forced to remove the blindfold and see clearly what they did, who they hurt, and what they lost. For you, the Two of Swords validates that the confusion you felt was not in your head, was real. They were sending mixed energy because they themselves were divided, unclear, and avoiding the deeper truth. This card releases you from any guilt or self-blame about not understanding the situation clearly, because how could you when they themselves refused to be clear? You were navigating a situation where someone was emotionally dishonest, not just with you, but with themselves. And that's not something you could have fixed or changed. It was their internal battle, their lesson to learn. And now the fifth and final card. Wow, this one is so telling. The card that comes through is the Four of Cups, and this shows their current emotional state so perfectly. The Four of Cups represents dissatisfaction, apathy, and missing what's right in front of you because you're too focused on what you don't have or what you've lost. Oh my goodness, this card shows that even though they chose someone else, even though they're in a different situation now, they are not happy, they're not fulfilled. There's this sense of emotional numbness of going through the motions but not really feeling alive or connected. The Four of Cups reveals that they're sitting in their choice, looking at what they have and feeling empty, disconnected, regretful. What they thought would bring them satisfaction has left them feeling hollow instead. And the painful irony here is that while they sit in this dissatisfaction, they're finally seeing clearly what they had with you, what they took for granted, what they let go of. This card often shows someone who is being offered something new, something genuine, but they can't receive it because they're too caught up in the past or in their own emotional withdrawal. In this case, it's showing that they can't fully be present in their current connection because part of them is still emotionally tied to you, still comparing, still remembering. What's so powerful about the Four of Cups in this reading is that it confirms they are learning the hard way that running from real love doesn't lead to happiness, it leads to emptiness. They thought choosing someone else would solve their problems, make things easier, give them what they wanted. Instead, it's showing them exactly what they gave up. And wow, that lesson is one they'll carry for a long time. This card also speaks to a missed opportunity that they're now aware of. They're realizing too late that what you offered, the connection you shared, was something rare and valuable. And now, sitting in the consequences of their choice, they can see it clearly. For you, the Four of Cups is a message of release and protection. It shows that you are not meant to be with someone who is emotionally unavailable, someone who can't see your value clearly, someone who would choose dissatisfaction over honoring what's real. This card is Spirit's way of saying you dodged a deeper heartbreak. Yes, it hurt. Yes, it was messy. But imagine being the person they're with now, the person who has their physical presence but not their heart, not their full emotional investment. The Four of Cups protects you from that fate and redirects you towards something better, something whole, something genuine. These five cards together, the Lovers, the Five of Cups, Judgment, the Two of Swords, and the Four of Cups, they paint a complete picture of this situation. They show the choice that was made from a place of fear and avoidance. They show the regret and sorrow that followed. They show the awakening and accountability that's happening now, and they show the emptiness they're living in as a result. Oh my goodness, this is not a small lesson they're learning. This is a soul level reckoning, and you were part of that journey, not as a victim, but as a catalyst for their growth, even though it cost you pain. What Spirit wants you to know, most of all, is that this situation was never about you being not enough. It was always about them not being ready, not being brave, not being honest. And now they're sitting with that truth, feeling the full weight of what it means to choose wrong. Meanwhile, you are being guided forward into clarity, into healing, into understanding your worth in a way you never did before. The messy situation is resolving itself, not necessarily through reconciliation, but through truth, through release, through the universe balancing what was out of alignment. So if this reading resonated with you, if it touched something deep in your heart that needed to be acknowledged, I want you to know that you're not alone in this experience. What you went through was real, the pain was valid, and the confusion you felt was completely understandable. You were placed in a messy situation that was never fair to you, and wow, it takes so much strength to walk through that and still come out on the other side with your heart open and your spirit intact. What's happening now is a shift in the energy, the weight you've been carrying, the questions that kept you up at night, the wondering if you did something wrong or if you weren't enough. All of that is being lifted. The truth is revealing itself, not necessarily through words or apologies, but through the energy that's shifting around this situation. They are waking up to what they lost, and you are waking up to what you deserve. And oh my goodness, that is such a powerful place to be. Remember that their regret is not your responsibility to carry or to fix. Their awakening is their journey, their lesson to learn. Your journey now is about honoring yourself, about recognizing that you were always worthy of a clear choice, of honest love, of someone who could see your value without hesitation. The messy situation taught you what you will no longer accept, and that wisdom is priceless. It's redirecting you towards something better, something aligned, something that won't require you to question where you stand or whether you're chosen. If they come back, if they reach out with their regret and their realization, you'll know exactly what to do because you'll be standing in your clarity, in your truth, in your power. And if they don't, if this lesson completes itself in silence, that's okay too, because either way, you're free. Free from confusion, free from carrying their emotional chaos, free from waiting for someone to choose you bravely. You're stepping into a chapter where you choose yourself first, and wow, that is where the real transformation happens. Trust that the universe has been protecting you through all of this, even when it didn't feel like it. Trust that what's meant for you will never require you to shrink, to question yourself, or to accept less than you deserve. And trust that this ending, as painful as it was, is making space for a beginning that honors you completely. You are seen, you are valued, and you are so deeply loved by Spirit. Keep moving forward with your head held high, knowing that you survived something that could have broken you, and instead it made you stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your truth. Thank you so much for being here with me today at Twin Soul Collective Guidance. I'm Blue, and I'm sending you so much love and light on your journey. Until next time, take care of your beautiful heart. The tarot cards mentioned throughout this reading were the Lovers, the Five of Cups, Judgment, the Two of Swords, and the Four of Cups.